The American Constitutional Republic. Affairs of State in Oklahoma. The beliefs, principles, opinions, and views of people just like me. This is 3D Politics, featuring your host, the Verbal Viking comedian, political humorist, father of five, and former mayoral candidate Tommy McKay. Catch me at verbalviking@gmail.com if you want to send me a message. An exciting evening. Last week, Cordy Williams. This week, Sabotage on the Sooner Tea Party Express. Al Gerhart reveals all on 3D Politics. He is bringing a lot of information. He has recently accused GOP State Chairman John Bennett, along with Bob Dani, executive director at Oklahoma Republican Party, along with Leslie NesSmith, GOP State Director of Media and Public Relations, of a Rule 3 violation. I've got a lot of questions. 2 articles with Al to go through. Let's bring him in without further ado. Here comes Al, if we can bring him in. There he is, ladies and gentlemen, Al Gerhart. Let's see if we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Now, I should be able to, you should have sharing privileges, but it's not allowing me to share, because I've got you. I don't know why it's not. All it's allowing me to do is share screen, but it's not allowing me to. Typically, it will allow me to let multiple participants share, but that was what you needed for audio. Is that correct?
Well, let's just see if you can hear what this is.
All right.
Let me see if I can get this queued up.
We'll try that. Just to let everybody know, Al has got a list of people implicated in a couple of stories here, and it's a pretty impressive list. Leslie NesSmith, Bob Dani, John Bennett, Lahmeyer Supporters, a mysterious car dealer executive, Jenny White, Rhonda Vilmont Smith, David McLean, Miles Rahimi, David Rissingham, John Bennett's wife, Brian Hobbs, Hobbs's dad, a police chief. And when you say Brogdon in your article, did you mean Randy?
I think we were talking about Randy in connection to, what was his name? T.C. Ryan was the guy that he got in trouble with.
All right. I don't know. Just making sure that you said Brogdon. I assumed it was Randy. So I just put that.
Can I test the audio here?
Sure. Let's test it.
Give me 1 second.
I didn't really think you were going to have it. So because you mentioned to me that you know, no, but it's not. No, we're not going to worry about it. Let's talk about the first. There's 3 things I want to get to, and in reverse order. We want to talk about what is a Rule 3A violation. I want to get the definition of what is an abolitionist queen. And I love labels, and I think that's a good one. And then also, let's just, for the sake of getting the truth out here, without trying to explain. In your 2 articles, you had an evil twin that plays, I think it's ISIL. I don't know how you pronounce it. If that's close enough for you, I'll go with that. But I understand the ISIL character in your written print piece to be basically the narrator bringing ultimate truth, which is really you. And so I'm just going to, so instead of trying to explain ISIL, whenever ISIL speaks, it's really just Al, and we'll just treat it that way. Okay, so this is, you're not going to hide behind the pretense of, I thought it was a clever, a clever idea for a long article. You had to split it in 2 because there was a lot there. But so first, what is a Rule 3A violation that you're charging these people with, or accusing? I'm sorry.
Rule 3A says that any registered Republican in the state of Oklahoma has got the right to participate in the GOP party itself.
Okay.
And of course, it means that you're within the rules.
Okay.
Like, for instance, I was at a state committee meeting, and I was obeying the rules. I wasn't talking. I wasn't asking questions. I was just sitting there observing. All right. By throwing me out, you basically have broken Rule 3A. So if you're a Republican and you want to help out the GOP, you've got the right to do so. Now that right is sacred, I can't pronounce that word. It's like it means you cannot violate it, inviolable or something like that.
Inviolate.
There you go. Thank you. A man better educated than I am.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I just know the word.
Now, the penalty for doing this is removal from office. So
okay. So who removes him from office if this charge is if a Rule 3A violation occurred? Who calls it? Who enforces it? And how do they get thrown out?
Okay, what the rules say about this is the process that put them in power takes them out of power. Now, that's a little bit different with the chairman and vice chair. They use the state committee to do that. If a chairman breaks the rules, then the state committee can take him out, and only the state committee.
Okay, so we're talking about the banishment from the July 17th state committee meeting. Is that correct?
Well, that was one of many issues, yes.
Okay, but I mean that's the one we're talking about now with the Rule 3A violation is banishment from the July 17th state committee meeting. Is that the violation?
Well, that's one of the violations.
Okay. And then who authorizes, so tell me what is, define for me, please, the abolitionist queen, because that's really who the piece is aimed at. But I mean, I don't mean the name. That's Leslie NesSmith. Fine. She is the GOP media and public relations person. My question is, when you call her that, what does abolitionist queen mean?
Well, it means the queen bee. She's basically the highest profile, most powerful person within their organization.
Well, that's covered by the word queen. I don't understand the abolitionist character.
Well, you understand the abolitionists in terms of the ecclesia type people, right? It's about there's no such thing as a abortion for like not birth control. If you have a tubal pregnancy, you die. That's basically their view.
Okay, we just jumped a huge. I mean, not their view is a huge jump from Leslie NesSmith. I mean, Leslie NesSmith has a view you think that makes her what you call an abolitionist queen, and the term abolitionist is tied to abortion. Is that correct?
It is.
Okay, explain your position on abortion and how it differs from an abolitionist position on abortion.
Well, I personally feel that an abortion is murder. Unless it's done to protect the life of the mother, it's murder. And I think the woman will have to pay for that in the hereafter. But our Supreme Court has considered it the self-defense of the mother, among other reasons, to be a constitutional right. And unfortunately, either we're willing to succeed from the union and stand up to the Supreme Court, or we're going to follow their rules as they see it. There's only one or two ways. Now, what I like about abortion is ending it is incrementalism. I like the football to go a yard down the field every few weeks, if possible, if not every year. But I don't think you can stand up to the Supreme Court and win.
Okay, so you believe? So I'm trying to calculate your understanding, your meaning when you say abolitionist. You're suggesting, are you not, with your last statement, to abolish abortion totally because it's murder? That would be you are the abolitionist king, then, right?
No. I believe that a woman has a constitutional right to protect herself if she has a tubal pregnancy. What do they call it? Ectopic or something?
Ectopic.
Thank you. She's got the right to self-defense in those cases. Now, but you go past that. The Supreme Court says that women have the right to birth control. It's regulated by the state, which I fully support. Where you leave the abolitionists behind and you become a pro-life person is when you understand that if you've got 40 years of detailed statutes on the book that's basically regulating abortion, you don't remove those until you got abortion illegal. And that's one of the things the abolitionists want to do. They want to wipe out all the laws first and then pass their law.
Okay, and this is why you're calling Leslie NesSmith the abolitionist queen, because she wants to wipe out all the laws first, no incrementalism, just go for the full Hail Mary. That's what we're saying.
Now Leslie calls herself an abolitionist.
I'm not saying it's good or bad. I just want to understand the term. And what you mean by abolitionist, Queen, is a person who wants to not use incrementalism to defeat abortion, but to go for the full Monty, as it were, in all the laws. And you're suggesting you agree with Leslie NesSmith that we both don't like abortion. Is that correct? But your idea is that we want to use incrementalism, and her idea is we don't have time for incrementalism. Is that correct? Okay. Okay. So Leslie NesSmith, in your article, is the person apparently that is gatekeeping you out of it. And while I don't disagree with your interpretation of the Rule 3A violation, because I never even heard of it until you said it. But I mean, the way you describe it, just because I want to go, and I'm asking the question. If I want to go help out with some Republican administration, G.T. Bynum is a Republican administration, supposedly. I can't just go be part of his administration. Okay, so were you kept out of just simply participating as a spectator involved, or were you kept out of, like just you didn't get to be involved in the administration of the current chairman?
Well, Bynum would be a public official. The rules don't cover that. It covers.
Okay, it's a bad analogy, but my point is, were you kept out? I mean, my point I'm trying to make is you can still participate in the GOP effort, but that doesn't mean you get to participate in all the ways you want.
According to the rules, you have the right to go down there and volunteer to help out if you want to.
But does it say in there they have to accept your volunteers? And we can give back donations and stuff if we find out we don't like the guy who gave them.
Yeah, but if you want to go down and answer the phone, then you've got the right to go down there and do that. It's that simple.
Well, wait a minute. I don't get to just go down there unannounced and just tell people, hey, I'm here to answer the phone. And they're, oh, well, hi, we don't know you. Sit down and tell them whatever you want. I don't get to just run the phone bank down there just going down there.
Well, maybe they'll have you sweeping the floor. I don't know, but you've got the right to participate. Now,
but that right to participate, I'm sorry, but I mean that right to, here's what I think is part of the problem, is that I think you're feeling denied. You're saying you were denied access to the GOP to participate, and I'm just saying you were denied access to participate in the way you wanted to. You didn't get what you wanted to out of it. Are you not still participating in the GOP in some way, shape, or form?
Well, Leslie, she made that post, and I sent you copies on Facebook.
I'm going off of that, yes.
All right. She basically has got me cut out of everything. I'm not allowed to do anything anymore. I wasn't even allowed to attend that state committee meeting as a visitor, sitting there quietly.
The state committee meeting, is that not for just committee members, or are there spectators allowed?
Spectators have always been allowed. Throughout GOP history, there's never been a closed meeting. We don't allow closed meetings. There's nothing in the rules that allows it.
Okay.
Not only that, you've got the state of Oklahoma. If you read the GOP rules, it mentions the GOP rules. It mentions Robert's Rules of Orders. It also mentions the statutes of the state of Oklahoma. The GOP is a nonprofit organization. It has to follow the state laws. Now, under state law, you can close down a nonprofit board meeting for executive session for certain matters and certain matters only. You discuss them, you come out of executive session, and you vote. So You're not allowed to have secret meetings, even under Oklahoma statutes.
All right. Okay. So again, here we are on 3Dpolitics once again every Monday night. Your verbal Viking Tommy McKay. Joining me this week is Al Gerhart with his blockbuster story. There is no stone left unturned on this story. Who authorizes, Al, Leslie NesSmith's gatekeeping? She has kept you out, according to your story. And Leslie NesSmith, is she operating on her own authority, or does she have authority from the GOP chairman?
Well, she says that she colluded with John Bennett, which is the chairman, and Bob Dani, who's executive director. Now, keep in mind that I'm the guy that recruited John Bennett to run for office, and I've got a tape queued up if you doubt that. Okay.
I don't doubt that you recruited him. I do question some things about how much credit you want to take for that. But I've got questions in order as they appear in the story. So,
Okay, I got you.
but let's just stick with according to you, and
According to Leslie.
Leslie Smith has told you she is authorized to do what she's doing by John Bennett.
That's what she said in her
Okay,
post. You've
because
got
the
a
buck
copy
has
of
to
it.
stop with Bennett. He's the chairman, correct? All right.
Correct.
So all these other ancillary players are really not at issue here. Your issue is with Bennett. Is that correct?
It is at this point,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. So tell me what group, some group you formed to support Bennett and Henrietta. What was that group?
We didn't really name it at first, but we finally chose the name unitewithtrump.com.
Okay, so that answers another question. So concerning GOP headquarters, I'm still in the first part one of your. I didn't give you proper setup. Al Gerhart, co-founder of the Sunni Tea Party, algerhart.blogspot.com is where you can find these articles. Just to give you a feel for it, I'll share this real quickly. Here's his article. This is from July 19th, 2021. The abolitionist queen admits to sabotage in a joint interview with her evil twin. That's the clever idea you had for ISIL. These are stories from Leslie. This is from Leslie Ness. This is so her evil twin. How do you pronounce this concept of Hisman?
That's her name backwards is all it is.
Oh, okay. That's okay. So here's the story that we're referring to. You can find that on that date, July 19th, 2021, from algerhart.blogspot.com. So, concerning the GOP headquarters, a lot of your effort there. Tell me about the $3,700 security system. Who donated it? Who paid for the alarm and the alarm permit? What is that story?
Okay, the alarm company needs to remain anonymous because they want to be that way. That's how a lot of wealthy people are. But this guy was a long-term supporter, like 12, 13 years. And I approached him. I said, look, we've had stuff stolen out of the GOP before we could even get in there. We need an alarm system so we know who's coming and going. I talked with John about it. He approved the $30 a month monitoring fee budget. And we got the alarm system donated. We put it in. Leslie tried to sabotage that. She basically was saying, well, we're not going to turn it on. Why won't you turn it off? There's no reason not to turn it on. You need to know who's coming in and out of this building. And Bob, at one point, Bob was talking about,
That's Bob Dani, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I went ahead and set up you have a little app on your phone, and they had 3 apps for us. And they're asking me, who do you want to have these apps? I'm like, well, it's on my account, so give me one, give John Bennett the second one, and give the volunteer coordinator, Derek, the third one. Now, you're doing this ad hoc, and you're paying for it, so you got quite a bit of leeway there. So Bob finds out about this, or Leslie does, and she says, well, that's not going to work. Remove Al and put me in there. And I'm like, wait a second. Number one, it's on my account. I pay the bill if the GOP doesn't. So, no, my name is going to be on there. Number two, Leslie has nothing to do with volunteers. The volunteer coordinator that's Derek. He needs access, and Bennett needs access. And if something happens to either one of those guys, I'll be able to recover the system and get you guys working again. And I've known these people for over 12 years, I guess, at this point, roughly.
Okay, so clearly, the part of the issue here is, there's plenty of name calling going on in your article against a lot of people, and I'm all for name calling because I'm really good at it. But when you say, so the name calling indicates that there's a breakdown in the relationship between you and Leslie NesSmith. I think that's a nice way to say it.
Boy,
So clearly, if you have control of the alarm system for the GOP, that's going to cause trouble for her because she doesn't have a good relationship working with you, right?
But I've worked with Bennett.
Okay, but that just But I'm off on my little trip here.
And
Am
by
I
the way,
right?
Who is Leslie Nesbitt? What was she elected?
She's okay. Stick with me here, just for the sake. Okay, you made the contention that you wanted to volunteer, but now with the alarm system being in your name, you're controlling. You're not volunteering anymore. Now you're owning and authorizing apps of people to know who comes and goes at the headquarters. And as far as I know, you are not. Are you even registered Republican? Are you independent still? Okay, so you used to be independent, but now you're Republican, right?
Years ago, yes.
Okay, so you're registered Republican, but you do not work for the Bennett administration. Is that correct?
Whenever we set these things up, you go to Bennett, say, Bennett, here's something I want to get done for you. He gives you the permission to do it. The alarm system was one of those. Another one was the recruitment of the legal team. I recruited all the legal team.
So everything, apparently, according to your story, everything was fine with the alarm until until Leslie found out you were going to be in charge of it.
Now, wait a second. When you say in charge, you got a volunteer coordinator that's responsible for it. He's the one that gives all the codes out.
Okay, that's in charge. You giving out. Okay,
I'm there to make sure the bill gets paid.
You paying the bill makes you no longer volunteering, but running it.
Well, I don't really want to run it and never did, and it's Derek's job to give people codes and do reports. I don't care about that. I just want them to have a damn alarm system.
Well, then why didn't you just give them the authority to run it? Why didn't you just why didn't you donate the money and let them set up the apps and all that stuff?
Listen to me. It's on my account down at the alarm company.
That's the problem. Exactly why I'm addressing that. Why is it on your account and not the GOP's account? Having it on your account puts you in charge, which makes it a problem for Leslie. She works for Bennett.
Leslie is public relations. Exactly what does that got to do with an alarm system?
It has everything to do with, wow. Let's try to stay linear. Bennett, does Leslie NesSmith work at the behest of John Bennett?
As I did when we were setting up this alarm.
But does she now? Yes, is right. Do you work for
relations director? The man, listen to me, the man responsible for the volunteers was Derek. He was put on there. He was the only one that
all that is not even, we're not even there. Derek's not even listed in your story, okay? What I'm saying to you from a matter of philosophy, if your name's on the account and you decide who gets the apps, then you are controlling the knowledge of who comes and goes at the GOP headquarters, correct?
I would have to care enough to look it up.
That's not my question. Can you answer the question? I'm trying to be civil.
This is ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. Your story is like a Jerry Springer readout, okay? Okay, so you believe that you have been slighted because you don't get to volunteer the way you want down at the GOP headquarters.
The way that Bennett said that I could at the time.
Why isn't Bennett backing you up on this then? I thought you said Bennett colluded, but Bennett supposedly colluded with everybody else against you.
That's what Leslie said, not me.
But I don't hear Bennett. I don't hear you saying Bennett called you to kiss ass and make sure it's okay.
Well, we talked to Bennett back in, I think it was the 24th of May, I believe it was. David Van and I did about some of these issues. We talked to him again for about an hour and a half on a Sunday night. It was around the end of June, and he was going to try to straighten the stuff out at that point.
I'm trying to go in order of the story here, and you're getting down there, and I want to get to that. Tell me about. Okay, I felt like there was a difference in things about the volunteer problem you had. You said, I wanted to get volunteers for flower beds and to do mowing and yard cleanup. And then you added to that concept and volunteers to also clean up inside the office. I thought you slopped those two ideas together. It's one thing to get volunteers from the public community to mow outside, clean up outside, and do outside yard work. When you have people coming in to volunteer to clean up the back office of the HQ, that seems to be a difference. Is there a difference there or no?
Well, being that I had the code for the back door, what's the problem with me coming in? I had to come in. I had to come in and get the air conditioning fixed. I'm
talking about volunteers. This seems to be a process because it says, my question number 4 concerning GOP headquarters. Tell me about Leslie NesSmith demanding that Al Gerhart not get volunteers on Facebook and emails. What's that?
Well, all right, okay, that's okay. I would put up a post. For instance, one time I talked with Leslie and I asked her what she needed. She showed me the conference room chairs. I said, okay, I'll find you a donor. A couple of days later, I have a check for $1,000 being mailed in to buy new conference room chairs. All right. A few days later, they were talking about, well, the grass needs mowed. We need the flower beds cleaned up. This is Leslie asking for me to get this stuff done. So I put a post on Facebook saying, hey, guys, come down here and adopt a flower bed. One lady did, I believe it was Rhonda Lee Peterson, I think her name is. She came down and took care of 2 sections. Well, Leslie got mad when that went up, and she basically texted me and told me not to do that anymore. Don't get on Facebook and tell people that you're helping. Why?
And why would she do that, do you think?
You're going to have, oh, she said she was getting phone calls. Her friends would call her and complain that I was helping out. That's how petty this crap was getting.
Because, again, you are a firebrand. It's not surprising that sweet little old Al causes trouble with people. So, I mean, let's not act like you're, some sort of nice guy that's just trying to help out. Okay, you go around stomping with fire coming out of your nostrils. A lot of people don't like you, okay? And so she gets calls when you're trying to help because you are a brand problem for the and I'm saying this according to what I'm reading from your article. And you're saying other people don't like you, and they're calling her. Okay.
You need to listen to me really carefully. If you want me to continue this interview, you're going to have to back off being a persecutor here, and you're going to have to ask questions. Okay. Well,
who's the mysterious car dealer executive? There's a question.
That guy is.
Well, you said ask a question, Al.
All right, there's an executive working for a car dealer. He's the guy that donated the $1,000 for the chairs. Now, let me tell you how this happens with volunteers. I've been doing this for 12 years now, okay? I put out a call on my email list and on Facebook for volunteers to mow the lawn. This guy pops up. I've known him for some time. We get to talking. He said, Al, I'm too busy to mow the lawn. What else do you need? Man, we need some conference chairs. How much? $1,000. Checks in the mail on Monday. All right. So next thing you know, he's calling me up. Al, my son needs to be exposed to some good people, so I'm going to take him down there and mow that lawn. Well, thank you, man. Next thing you know, he's down there. So Al, you know what? We need a sprinkler system because the ground is so hard. The grass isn't growing properly. We need to get the lawn in great shape so that we don't have to mow it as often. And we need to clean up those flower beds. Can I raise the money for this? And by the way, Al, we need a flag. I said, let me get permission. So I called Bob Dani, and I've got it on tape. I called Bob Dani and tell him what the guy wants to do. He said, sure, why not? Let's get her done. I called the guy back and turned him loose. He started raising money. He raised $6,000 for these projects, and they got shot down. They got turned down. Why? Because someone didn't like me helping out down there. Now, at one point, I had raised 1/3 of all the money, both money and in-kind donations that had been raised at the GOP so far. That was in probably early June. 1/3 of the money I had raised for stuff like this, okay? A guy like that, no one cares if you're raising money, and the only people that care if you're down there cleaning out the flower bed or sweeping the floor are the people that don't like you. Well, I'm sorry, screw them. You've got a right to participate, and I'm going to participate. I want the GOP to thrive.
Well, it's unfortunate the way it works with groups is that you don't get to pick the group, you don't get to pick your nickname, and you don't get to pick your pronouns. So even if you want to participate, if the group doesn't like you, you get kicked out of the group even though you're legitimately in the group. So tell me, what is this 3 to 4? So we're going to move on here to part 2, but the last question on part 1, 3 to 4 weeks before the GOP is checking the mail. So you want to volunteer, but you want to make sure that they check the mail according to when you want to, correct? What do you mean, check the mail?
You know why? All right. You have a rich man send you a check for $1,000. 3 weeks later, it has not been picked up out of the mailbox in cash. The guy is freaking out. What happened to my check? Has someone stolen that check and washed it? Do I need to shut my bank account down? That's how rich people think, for good reasons. For 3 weeks, when it began, there was Leslie, me, and Miles Rahimi that were emailing back and forth almost every day. And every day I would say, check the mail, check on that check. They wouldn't do it. It took 3 weeks to get that damn mailbox opened up.
So you're listening to Al Gerhart continuing his accusations against the GOP State Chairman John Bennett, Bob Dani, and Leslie NesSmith. We're coming up on the bottom of the hour. We're going to keep going here because we got the second half of the show, part 2, Al Gerhart interview. I'm going to share that as we come up on the break, and we'll just go dark here for a second. I'll put you in the I'm going to put you back in the waiting room. We're going to come back for the second half of the Al Gerhart interview. I'm going to share this Abolitionist Queen Part 2. The American Constitutional Republic. Affairs of State in Oklahoma. The beliefs, principles, opinions, and views of people just like me. This is 3D Politics. Featuring me, your fine host, Verbal Viking Tommy McKay, and with me tonight, thankfully, Al Gerhart joining us to talk about his two-part piece at al.blogspot.com. He is having a feud with the GOP and Leslie NesSmith. So, Article 2 on August 2nd, 2021. I got a question for you.
Sure.
And again, this may just be rhetoric, but I read all these little words. You say, we thought it would be fun to do this article. Who's we?
The Sooner Tea Party, the people that helped me out on this stuff. Okay,
tell me about Rhonda Smith recruiting Leslie NesSmith, and then Rhonda supposedly suckering Jenny White to run against Bennett. Okay, yeah. Rhonda Smith recruited Leslie NesSmith, then Rhonda suckered Jenny White. Somehow Jenny White didn't want to, but she did because Rhonda tricked her into it to run against Bennett. Is that correct?
The way that happened was that if you read what Leslie wrote, what she wrote, not what I say, but what she wrote, that sometime in January, she informed Rhonda that she had gotten inside the Bennett campaign. Hell, she was running the Bennett campaign at that point, okay?
So Bennett is like a flailing fool here. He doesn't run anything, and Leslie said, well, just go in there and run it, right?
I guess according to Leslie, I guess that's the case. So she's gotten inside the campaign, and she's informing Rhonda and Jenny White what's going on. Now, if someone's in my campaign and they're talking to my opponents, I got a problem with that if I'm John Bennett. Would you not have a problem with that if you were John Bennett?
I mean, why do you consider Jenny White an opponent? Simply because she was running against Bennett in the primaries?
That's kind of the definition of an opponent, that they're running against each other. Now, the first woman
But that doesn't mean they're an opponent in ideological... I mean, you agree with Leslie NesSmith on the idea of abortion. You have a difference in the way to deal with it. So why can't Jenny White run against Bennett to try to clarify the GOP direction without being an enemy of him totally ideologically?
She's an opponent. She's running against him for the chair. Let's call an opponent, Tom.
Okay, but they're running for the chair of the same...
On that. She was an opponent.
All right.
That's simple. Now,
Fine.
The first woman that Rhonda recruited was that redheaded abolitionist lady. She was the one that was always yelling at the conventions. All right.
And again, the abolitionist comment means they don't want to use incrementalism to get rid of abortion. They simply want to get rid of all abortion instantly, right?
Yeah, and they call themselves abolitionists.
Okay.
All right. So the redheaded lady was the first one up that Rhonda recruited. Why do I know that? Because the redheaded lady told me that.
I don't doubt that she's recruited.
Jenny was next. Jenny said at Oak Pack that Rhonda talked her into running. It's that simple. She said that. I saw the video. All right. But in the meantime, Leslie is running John's campaign.
Okay, wait a minute. Just wait a minute. Wait a minute. Let's just not run roughshod over people's decisions. If a person like Jenny White says so-and-so talked me into it, that doesn't mean they operated against their own will. Jenny White ran because she wanted to. She was encouraged maybe by other people. But your characterization that Jenny White is like some robot, this is what you're saying about Bennett. Bennett doesn't know anything. Leslie's running the show. Jenny White doesn't know anything. Rhonda told her to do it. I mean, how do you view people like this? Who tells you what to do?
All right, go back to what Leslie is writing about Bennett. I'm not saying he's a puppet.
I'm asking you, Al, about the way you talk about people. Jenny White made the decision to run. She didn't get talked into it.
You're getting away from the main point.
Exactly.
Leslie was running the Bennett campaign at the same time she was concluding with the people that were running against him. Does that not sink through your head?
Yeah, I get it, but I mean, I don't know that all your characterizations of everybody is accurate.
No, at this point, you're not an interviewer anymore. You're an attacker. You're taking care of these people.
You have an attack piece, and I'm pressing you. I'm pressing you on your things that you wrote. You're an attacker.
Leslie wrote that.
This is an attack piece.
Not me.
Question number 4. Question number 4.
Not me.
ISIL's comments are the ones we agreed on that you wrote. I'm commenting on ISIL's comments as well. Question number 4 on part 2 Al Gerhart interview. Do you believe that you personally are responsible to get Bennett elected in 2010?
Yes.
You think you're the man? You're the only guy that got him. So you talked him into running?
No. Bennett met me in August of 20. He says it's 2009. I said it's 2010.
Great. I'm all talking about you taking credit for an election. How do you take credit for the election? This is my show, Al. Let's have a conversation. Ready? Go.
Finish the question.
Well, scream at me. Go.
I will if you don't keep interrupting.
Go for it.
And by my recollection, it was August of 2010. Bennett says 2009. I say 2010. We met down at an Arby's restaurant in Henrietta, Oklahoma. He wanted help. No one else would help him, so the Sunni Tea Party stepped in. We got him the NRA had endorsed the Democrat he was running against. We found another group. It was called, what was it? It's the gun rights people. I forget their dadgum name at this point. We found another gun group to endorse him. We raised about $2,000. We went down there and we ran some ads. We did some town halls. We got the guy elected, okay?
Okay, this helps me.
He ran again. When he needed help, he would call me. Al, we need your help. Al Gerhart and the Tea Party, it would be different people each time. We would come down there. We would bring pallet loads full of newspapers. We would carpet bomb every daggum house in the county. Now, if you want to listen to a tape that I've got, I can basically give you a tape where Bennett is talking about the Speaker of the House and the floor leader flying down to Tahlequah to meet with me to get him. What I'm trying to do is keep Bennett from losing his chairmanship. I think it was public safety. I could be wrong. But we were trying to keep him from losing his chairmanship. So they flew down to Tahlequah, met with him, gave him thousands of dollars in campaign donations to get me off his butt. And I played ball with him. We went after Kennedy instead. But for years, I supported Bennett down there. I kept his butt in office.
So
what happened when it came to this dadgum convention? Bennett comes to me just a few days before the convention and says, Al, I need you to put your name on this attack card against Jenny White. And I said, John, I've got to see it first because I could get sued. Every time I help you, I can get sued. I need to see it. So he sends it to me, the copy of it. I work with this guy named Patrick. I think it's in Arizona. They get it printed up. They deliver it to Leslie's house with the rest of John's printing.
I'm trying to be polite, but you're jumping way ahead. I've got other questions. Okay, you're going way too far. Okay,
you're having a real problem understanding that
I don't have a problem understanding. You're not enjoying me pressing you for clarification. I don't have any problem understanding. Okay, you have already clarified. You make it sound like Al Gerhart got Bennett elected. Al Gerhart kept him in office, but you've just clarified. You've just clarified it wasn't just you. It was a Sooner Tea Party group.
Exactly.
The we. Then that's not you. It's this we. See, this is one of the little problems I have in interpreting what you say.
Do you understand how you're coming across right now? How the normal person is going to...
Yes, my wife's standing here adoring me. Okay, so tell me about, it's number 6. Tell me about your David McClain attacks.
David McClain was corrupt as hell. He was spending money like a drunken sailor and had us $20,000 in debt. You call that an attack when you try to straighten a guy out?
I'm saying you admit in the piece here that you attacked David McClain.
Of course, my name is...
Well, then I do call it an attack. My God, yes. Do I call it an attack? Yes. Yes, I call it an attack to answer your question. Do I call it an attack? Yes. I call it an attack. Don't ask me if it's an attack. If it's an attack, then. My God. Okay, so why would you presume... let me ask you this. Why would NesSmith presume you will attack Bennett? Why would she presume your attack on Bennett was imminent? That's part of your piece.
She had... I have no idea why she would do that. You support a man for 12 years. You stand up for him and bad men for 12 years, and he thinks you're going to turn on him? That's crazy.
Okay. And you've already told me if Bennett told NesSmith to have you ousted, no more access, that is what you claim is a 3A violation.
That is a 3A violation. Not what I claim it is.
Congratulations. You just claimed it also. So, I'm not wrong. All right. And so tell us about
biased,
Bob.
Tom, you're biased.
Oh, not you, Al. You're not biased. You play cue ball hard ticks.
I'm not interviewing someone. You are.
Tell me. Dude, I'm pressing you on your attack piece against Leslie NesSmith and John Bennett and Bob Dani. Tell me who Bob. I'm not personally upset. I'm asking you. Tell me who Bob Dani is. Tell me who Bob. That's funny, Al. Tell me who Bob Dani is.
Bob Dani is executive director and about a 10-year-old, what I thought was a friend.
So you're losing 12 and 10-year-old friends right and left.
No, just 2 of them.
That's right and left right there. How was NesSmith able to convince Bennett away from your 12-year alliance and what you call really basically a dependency? He's like Bennett was dependent on you, right?
Well, that's your words, Tom.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You said you kept him in office. He was depending on you. Then he was, my word is he was depending on you to keep him in office.
There is a 3-person Facebook group set up. And it was set up by John's wife, Nicole, her, Jackie Crawford Walters, and myself. That was the backroom team that kept John in office right there. We fought through many battles.
So John has no ability to do anything to keep himself in office. It's only you and your team keeping him in office.
Tom.
I'm just saying, the way you say it.
No, Tom, the way you take it, you are personally offended that
I'm not personally offended. I listen to your words and they come out hard. And so I give you a nice return and you act like I don't understand.
No, you don't.
Okay,
Tom.
you insult Bennett's intelligence. You're insulting my intelligence just like you insult Bennett's intelligence. In the piece, you talk about why is Bennett such whatever you said, an idiot, some sort of low intelligence, and no loyalty from Bennett? Really? That's what you think about Bennett?
You had the same attitude with David Van last week.
David Van's not in this interview. Who is Miles Rahimi?
Miles Rahimi is a holdover from the McClain organization.
And you don't like him or you do like him?
I initially liked the guy.
But now he's not a friend of yours too?
Well, he sabotaged the survey. That's not a very
Explain the sabotage of what survey? That's the next question.
Okay, the group unitewithtrump.com was set up to get Bennett elected, okay? We put the website up like in November of what would it have been, 2020, I guess? All right, so one of the things we did at one point, of course, we told everybody about it. We shared it with them email. We talked about it in meetings. We talked about it on Facebook, the little group, okay? So in around June-ish, or end of June or so, we decided to run a survey. I talked with Bob Dani about this at lunch, okay? Told him what we were doing, make sure he's ready for it, reminded him who Unite with Trump is, and we're going to run a survey to get the feel of the delegates and by definition also the chairs and vice chairs and national committee people. We wanted John to go into the state committee meeting knowing what the mood of the people were. We ran that survey out there, and in the middle of the night at 10:30, Miles Rahimi sends out an email basically attacking the survey, claiming it had it might be a dangerous link, and that they don't give out the delegate list. Well, yes, they do give out the delegate list. You, as a Republican, have the right to go get that delegate list. Your neighbor that's a Republican has got the right to go get that delegate list and contact anybody he wants to. Miles Rahimi took it upon himself to sabotage that thing. Now, why would they do that? It was there to help John. The executive director knew it was coming.
Why do you think they did that, Al?
They didn't want to hear what was going to be told. What the survey told us is that people want a prayer at the start of a GOP meeting, but they don't want religion running the politics.
You're listening to Al Gerhart continuing his accusations on John Bennett, Leslie NesSmith, and Bob Dani of a Rule 3A violation. So some of this is coming back up because we kind of rolled into it. Bob Dani is the one that quashed the $6,000 donation for landscaping.
He did.
And how did he quash it?
Well, I already told you the story about the car leader he had the idea that we need to clean the yard up.
Right.
So Bob and I talked about this probably for 5 weeks. I kept him apprised of what's going on. Hey, Bob, we got the money raised. We got the contract signed, Bob. And then one night at 10 o'clock, I texted Bob and said, hey, Bob, we need to clean out the back room so we can find the outlets so we can install the circuit board inside.
Okay.
Bob said, fine, just be sure and tell the volunteer guy. Leslie had nothing to do with this. That's not what she does. So the next morning, I called the volunteer guy. Great, Al, do you want me to come down and help? No, sir, I'll put a post on Facebook. I'll find some volunteers to clean out that back room, and we'll get it done. All right, so I put a Facebook post up. 15 minutes later, Leslie makes a comment on that, and the comment is about mowing the lawn. That's kind of, but just remember that part. It's not that important.
Okay.
All right, 2 minutes later, my phone starts blowing up from Bob Dani wanting to talk to me. Well, we finally get to talk to him, and he says, well, we've already got the mowing taken care of, and by the way, you need to shut down that big donation, that big project. Now, he goes into this song and dance about how he's trying to strong-arm the trust committee. That building down there is owned by a trust committee. Dewey Bartlett Foundation, the original guy, the old guy, big politician, he set up a building fund for them and bought that building, remodeled it. They have a little section in there. It's a little bookcases of Dewey Bartlett memorabilia, but it's a home for the GOP that costs us $1,000 a month, dirt cheap. And here's the funny thing. We don't have to pay it if we don't have the money. If money's tight, we just skate. All we got to do is pay the utilities.
Okay.
All right. So you got a sweet deal like that. You cannot get a 4,700 square foot building for $1,000 a month. So Bob wanted to strong arm them and try to find a way for them to force them to raise some money or something. Well, that's fine, Bob. We already signed the contract on this damn sprinkler system. You gave us permission to do it 6 weeks ago. You've been in the loop for every week for 6 weeks. Now you want to shut it down because Leslie saw a post. How do you figure that out?
I mean, the only connection is that each time something gets shut down is because Al Gerhart is connected to it. And that's your contention, right?
Leslie
well, I'm just saying. Well, this is what you're saying, is that every time.
No, Tom, listen to me. Leslie wrote that in her post, that she got in the way of everything that I did, including fundraising.
Okay, I'm not disagreeing, Al. I'm agreeing with you that she also said it. You are saying it.
At the time, I didn't know whenever.
Okay, I'm saying now, I'm talking about your piece, man. You are agreeing with her in the statement that she is clipping you out. You are claiming, okay, my God, two people can say the same thing and both of them be right. So I'm telling you, Al, you are saying every time it's Al, you're getting clipped out. And that's what you're saying. You're agreeing with what Leslie said. Anywhere Al, okay. Tell me about the claim about some hit piece that you assisted with. You are known for doing hit pieces. You supposedly helped somebody with a hit piece. What's that? And what is this threat of a libel suit?
Libel suit? Oh, man.
It's in your piece. I'm reading straight out of your piece.
The hit piece was the Jenny White postcard, the push card put out. And what it was a collection of blog articles, my blog articles. And I think it had Jenny's picture on it, but it was basically negative information about Jenny. Now, where that came from her Facebook post. It's things like Jenny White called, she compared Trump's wife to a transvestite, that kind of stuff. Okay. So is that a hit piece? No, it's reporting what Jenny says in her private Facebook page and also public notices. So anyway, and I already told you the story about that. Bennett asked me to put my name on it.
That's what we're talking about. The boxes. We're talking about the boxes on NesSmith's porch, right?
I don't know if it was boxes or not. I just know my stuff came in a U-Haul box and it wasn't closed up, so it wasn't in a shipping box. Could have been one box, could have been many. I have no idea.
So did Al Gerhart have boxes delivered to NesSmith's porch?
No.
Okay.
Leslie threatened a lawsuit over that. I never said that. She said that. Bennett's own campaign delivered those. He paid for them and shipped them into Leslie's. I texted Leslie and I ran the text messages the week before. I was asking her, where are my postcards? Oh, they're on my porch. At first she said, well, you mean John's? No, my postcards. Oh, everything's on the porch.
Your postcards, you're talking about the Jenny White hit piece?
Yes, that was John Bennett's. He's the one that had them printed, not me.
Okay.
So they're on her porch. She gets Bob Dani to deliver them to me. Bob Dani delivers to me and we put them out. But they were John Bennett's pushcards. He paid for them. He designed them. I got to look at them after it was done and put my name on it.
So the U-Haul box that had a lid but not a real lid, that was your box?
No, they were delivered to me in a U-Haul box, an old, beat up, worn out, no top left on it, U-Haul box with no labels on it.
They were delivered to you after they hit Leslie's porch?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. They were all delivered to Leslie. That's what the guy, I think it was Arizona, told me, because I say, how are you shipping these in? Well, they're going to Leslie's house. Oh, okay. So
okay.
Now,
and
did Leslie know that they were there? Well, I asked, are my push cards there? She said, you mean John's? No, mine. Oh, everything's there. She had to have known.
Tell me about so you had this meeting between Bob Dani and Al in the parking lot south side of the convention center, and that's where you gave him your Jenny White cards. Or no, that's when you gave him John Bennett's Jenny White cards, right?
No, he had everything because he's a next door neighbor of Leslie NesSmith.
Tell me about the meeting between Bob Dani and you in the south side of the convention center. The convention, south side of the convention.
I'm sitting over at the old train station thinking he wants to hand them off in private, and he pulls up to the south side of the convention center and sends me a picture of his car, and so I go over there and he hands me the U-Haul box. That simple.
Bob gave Al Gerhart the Jenny White attack push cards, no?
Yep.
Bob gave Al Gerhart the Jenny White attack. Okay.
Right from Leslie NesSmith's porch.
Okay.
In a box that was not shipped in because there's no label on it, there was no lid on it. It was a worn out U-Haul box.
Now, maybe this question will seem silly because I'm trying to piece together the silliness of your character, but there seems to be some convoluted logic. How could Bennett dupe NesSmith if NesSmith is duping Bennett? Because who's duping who?
Each other is what I'm thinking.
Okay, well that's perfect. Then you're out.
All right, I will say this: there was a meeting between Bennett, David Van, and myself back on the 24th of May, and we were trying to get this mess straightened out. Now, who set that meeting up? John Bennett's wife, Nicole, set that meeting up, okay? Because at that point, I had got on that Facebook group, and I said, look, we're going to be on the wrong side of the fence here. We need to get to John. We got to straighten some stuff out. Now, by this time, Bob Dani had shut off all access to John Bennett. Even I couldn't get in touch with John Bennett, all right? And what else are you going to do? You call his wife, look, this is getting bad. We need to salvage some stuff here.
What else do you do? Call his wife?
What?
Your suggestion is if you can't reach a man, you call his wife?
That's the only way you got. You're damn right.
Wow.
We were friends for years protecting that man in office.
When you say there's this thing here, I don't have exactly your words where you question the intelligence of Bennett. Okay, so you're 10 years with Bob Dani, you call him stupid Bob. You're 12 years with Bennett, now you call him, well, I forget exactly the word you question.
Here you go again, Tom. You're going to come in here and you're not acting like a journalist. You're acting like someone wanting to persecute someone.
Am I persecuting you, Al?
Well, you're not acting like a journalist. You're acting like you're.
I'm not acting anything. I'm asking you a question.
I just asked
a question.
All right, I don't remember what it was said about Bennett, but
You call Bob Dani stupid after 10 years. What kind of friend is that? You call Bennett whatever you call, you question his intelligence and loyalty after 12 years.
You can't even read what I wrote, and yet you're going to say that? Read the words, bud. Read the words.
Tell me what they are. Read them out of your own words, buddy. Go for it. Read away. I'll wait. You want to find it and read it? Read it.
Of what it was, but there was something there about you had to question one of them's intelligence. Was Leslie getting one over on
Either way, you're throwing bombs. You're throwing bombs right and left, Alan. You act like you're being persecuted. 12 years with Bennett, 10 years with Dani, and then NesSmith can mess it up.
Hang on a second.
Bob Dani blowing your phone up. Volunteers. I'm getting there. We're running out of time. Okay, so tell me about the meeting. Tell me about the meeting. Tell me about the meeting that you demanded.
Tom, listen to me.
You're not really playing the game here.
Well,
I'm sure they started it, and you got your feelings hurt. I'm sure about that. Tell me about the meeting that
Tom, why would you act this way, knowing that they started it first? That I had done nothing wrong.
Hey, man, I'm no saint.
Why would you act like that?
I'm no saint, buddy. Shame on me.
Shame on
That's good. That's good. Tell me.
What other bullshit questions?
Tell me about. Let's see. So you claim to have a close husband-like protectorate relationship with Bennett's wife. You feel like. Well, you said
what did you say?
I just said you called.
Crazy?
I just said you feel like you're her protectorate.
Are you crazy?
You said you protected her for years, Al.
Are you crazy?
You protected her for years.
And that family for years.
And you felt like you could call. And you felt like you could call the man's wife. You felt like you could just call the man's wife. Van's not here to protect you, Al.
What is your problem?
Ressingham is not here to protect you.
What is your problem?
So tell me about the meeting that you demand. Let's see. Tell me about the meeting that Bob Dani breaks in 2 times to interrupt you. Let's see. So you insisted on a meeting with Bennett. You and Ressingham insisted on a meeting with Bennett, right? So tell me about the splitting up of the GOP field director, and that Tulsa was to be run by David Ressingham.
We had a problem with our field director. The guy's got a criminal history. It's on OS.
Who's that? What's the criminal history? Quit slinging shit without saying names.
You know who it is.
Say it. Say, okay, Brian Hobbs. And you got a problem with him because he's got a blemish on his record, and you're afraid that's going to ruin the GOP. Go ahead.
All right. Do you remember that? Were you in here long enough to understand the T.C. Ryan story and what that did to Brogdon?
Tell me. I'm here to listen to that.
T.C. Ryan was basically like the executive director of Brogdon. They dug up and expunged domestic battery story.
Okay.
Arrest. Okay. They dug it up, which meant it was already expunged. They had a district judge dig it out and make it public, and they hounded Bennett out of office for an expunged.
Hounded Bennett? Hounded who?
Brogdon. Bennett was just elected this year.
Yeah, you just said the word Bennett. You meant Brogdon.
You got a guy with an expunged case. His chairman gets hounded out of office. All right, I've known Hobbs for years. Okay, he wasn't suited to run for GOP vice chair for this very reason.
Man, everybody you know for years is unsuited. How do you implicate Hobbs's father as police chief?
That's how the cases got dismissed. They were assault and battery cases. If the one thing the women in the GOP won't put up with are multiple assault and battery domestic cases.
And you represent the women in the GOP.
Tom, when you ask a question like that.
When you say stupid crap, Al, I'm going to ask you, okay? You don't know. Excuse me. You don't speak monolithically for all women in the GOP. I'm real sorry. Tell me about the state committee meeting lockout. We're almost out of time.
Let's go back to this state committee, this state field director.
Yeah.
We had a problem.
I'm done with that. You're digging up dirt and you're hating about it. Tell me about the state committee meeting lockout. We're running out of time. Tell me about the state committee.
Not done with that.
Tell me about the state. Maybe we'll come back next time. Tell me about the state. Tell me about the state. Tell me about something about tracking pixels.
Okay. You had a guy that was a problem up there, that he had this criminal history. So we didn't give Bennett
Is that what you call civility? Go ahead.
We gave him a solution. Say, here's what you do, John. You break that job up into 5 positions. David Vann would have been a great one. And I think John said in one of the Tulsa meetings he was going to appoint David to one of them. You keep Brian Hobbs in the other ones. In the meantime, he gets his shit expunged. He gets his record cleaned up. Hobbs can do good things in politics, but he's got to get that record cleaned up before the liberals hit John Wood. All right? It's that simple.
You're listening. Okay.
You don't know what tracking pixels are.
I'm asking you to explain to the audience.
All right, tracking pixels, you put them in newsletters.
Go for it, Al.
Your attitude.
I'm just your attitude. Listen, you agreed that you would give me 10 times the civility I delivered. Bring it, man. Hurry up. Tracking pixels.
Tracking pixels are put in newsletters. I haven't run a newsletter since what? February.
How would Leslie NesSmith know you haven't used that?
Because they're in emails, and I don't send emails. I put it on a blog spot. You can't put tracking pixels in a blog spot.
And you think Leslie NesSmith knows you haven't used that old letter system?
I haven't sent a newsletter out in months.
And you think Leslie keeps track of that?
You would have to be a complete idiot not to understand you can't.
Everybody's an idiot. Al, I appreciate you being on the show. Thanks for being here tonight.
Tom, you're an idiot.
Well, we're in good company together, Al. Thanks for being here.
Well, I wish I could say it was enjoyable, but it's not, Tom. You're not much of a journalist.
I'm not trying to be a journalist, Al.
Yeah, I understand that.
Thanks for being on the show. Well, that was the Al Gerhart episode, and we hope to see you guys again next week, because next week we've got the abolitionist queen herself. Leslie NesSmith will be here next Monday on 3D Politics with me, the Verbal Viking. We'll see you guys next week.